Alright, we back. Goku and DC Season 5. I call this season Garlic and Growing Pains. This is going to be episode 1, 4 years later. Obviously, meaning it takes place 4 years after last season. Alright, and as y'all can see, I finally made a new animation for the members. Shout out to y'all. So I'm going to give a shout out to John Lang, 2016. I'm going to give a shout out to Pauran Gari, Kutiri, Mi, Huaro, OD Demon with 34, and Jason 57835. Man, shout out to the members, man. I appreciate the support. Alright, let's get to it. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Metropolis as Goku touched down on the helipad of LexCorp Tower. 4 years had passed since the Trigon invasion. 4 years of peace. 4 years of watching his children grow. 4 years of trying to balance the life of a warrior with the life of a father. But today, Goku found himself standing before the building where so much of his journey had started, where it begun. His eyes traced the familiar architecture, and memories flooded back unbidden. He remembered being a naive 12-year-old, fresh from Themyscira, clutching kryptonite fragments in his hands, unaware that he was delivering his brother's greatest weakness to a man who would one day try to use it to destroy Superman. The irony wasn't lost on him now. Lex Luthor, the man who had once used him as an unwitting pawn, had inadvertently shaped Goku's entire destiny. Funny how things work out, Goku murmured to himself, a small smile tugging at his lips. Because of Lex, he had traveled to Themyscira, where he met Diana and the Amazons. Because of Lex, he had descended into the depths of the ocean, where he encountered Aquaman and the Atlanteans. Because of Lex, he had climbed those impossible mountains and found the hideout for the League of Assassins, learning from Raj Al Ghul himself. Even villains can change a life for the better, Goku realized, even if they never intended to. Lex had wanted kryptonite to destroy Superman. Instead, he had given Goku the greatest adventures of his young life and the friends who would become his family. He walked through the gleaming lobby past security guards who recognized him instantly and stepped aside with respectful nods toward the private elevator that would take him to the penthouse office. The door slid open and Goku stepped inside, ready to face the man who had altered the course of his life in ways neither of them could have predicted at the time. The door slid open to reveal Lex Luthor's private office, a spacious sanctuary of polished obsidian floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Metropolis, and walls adorned with holographic displays of his various achievements. And there, seated behind the desk that costs probably more than most people's houses, was the former mayor of Metropolis himself, now governor. Governor Lex Luthor rose from his chair as Goku entered, his trademark smile spreading across his face. It wasn't the predatory grin Goku remembered from their early encounters. Something had changed in Lex over the years. The sharp edges had somewhat softened, though his ambition remained as sharp as ever in his eyes. "Goku," Lex greeted warmly, extending his hand. "I was wondering when you'd finally visit." Goku clasped the offered hand, his grip firm but not threatening. "Yeah, I guess it's been a while, huh, Lex? You still look good." 4 years have been kind to Lex Luthor. His political career had soared to unexpected heights, and he now stood as one of the most powerful governors in the entire country. But as Goku studied the man before him, he recognized the strange symmetry of their relationship. Just as Lex had shaped Goku's path, Goku had transformed Lex's destiny as well. It had started with a simple act. A teenage boy, fleeing an abusive father, being handed a glowing green rock by a stranger that was younger than himself, who didn't even understand its significance. That kryptonite fragment had sparked something within a young Lex. A love for science, a fascination with power, a burning desire to prove that humanity could stand on equal footing with gods if they simply work with what the universe has provided them. Then had come to Goku's mercy after Lex's plan to destroy Superman had failed after the kryptonite-powered battlesuit had been ripped apart. Goku had let him walk away, not because Goku was naive, but because he believed in second chances, and that act of compassion had haunted Lex in ways that he never fully expected. And then there was Goku's transparency. No secret identity, no mask, no cloak for anonymity. The world knew exactly who Goku was, what he stood for, what he was capable of. Lex had used that in his political campaigns, pointing to Goku as an example of what heroes could be: accountable, accessible, and trustworthy to the people. When anti-hero sentiment grew in Metropolis, Lex had presented Goku as the counter-argument, and the people had resonated with it. The footage from the Trigon invasion had been Lex's master stroke. He had edited out Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman and the others, presenting Goku as Earth's sole defender against a cosmic horror. The propaganda had been masterful. The political implications were profound. Lex became governor, and now, as he looked at Goku across his desk, he could see a presidency for his future even. "Please, sit," Lex said, gesturing to a comfortable chair. "I called you today because I have made some gifts for you." Goku sat curious despite himself. The connection between them was undeniable. Two men who had changed each other's lives for better and worse, and who would continue to orbit one another in ways neither could fully understand in the future. "But first, tell me about your children," Lex said, surprising Goku. "I'm sure they're remarkable based on their parents, of course." Goku smiled, all thoughts of politics and manipulation fading. "They are. Amar's already learned Diana's combat techniques, and she has my fighting spirit. And Gohan, well, he's got the appetite of a Saiyan, that's for sure. But he's more gentle and seems to like the costumes and stories of superheroes." Lex leaned back in his chair, his eyes gleaming with something that might have been genuine interest, or might have been the calculating gaze of a man who was always planning his next move. With Lex, it was impossible to tell. But for now, in this moment, the two men who had shaped each other's destinies simply talked, the afternoon sun streaming through the windows of LexCorp Tower, illuminating a relationship that had defied both of their expectations. Lex rose from his desk and walked toward a sleek glass table positioned beneath a massive holographic display of Earth from orbit. With a casual wave of his hand, the table's surface shimmered, then split apart like petals of a metallic flower, revealing a hidden compartment beneath. Nestled inside were two compact devices, jetpacks, but unlike any Goku had seen before. They were small, clearly designed for children, with streamlined curves and safety features that would have made any parent breathe easier. They had an orange and blue coloring, seeming to match Goku's own gi, and each bore the Luther insignia. "I remember," Lex began, his voice softer than usual, "when I first gave you that jetpack prototype. You were just a preteen, unable to fly on your own, and you needed it to reach the kryptonite fragments that were scattered across the globe." Goku's eyes widened as the memory surfaced. That clunky prototype, his first taste of flight, his first taste of adventure beyond the Kent farm, beyond the country. It had been unreliable and prone to malfunctions, but it had carried him to Themyscira. It brought him to Atlantis, to the League of Assassins. Without that jetpack, he might have never met Diana and never found his real path. "Your children are still young," Lex continued, lifting one of the jetpacks and holding it out to Goku. "They can't fly on their own yet, I imagine. But if they are anything like you, then they will want to explore, to push boundaries, to reach for the stars even. These are their training wheels, Goku. Something to help them learn until they're ready to take off on their own." Of course. Goku accepted the jetpacks, running his fingers over its smooth surface. The craftsmanship was impeccable, Lex's signature attention to detail evident in every seam and junction. He could already imagine Amara's excitement and Gohan's wide-eyed wonder. "Lex, I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," Lex replied, handing him the second jetpack. "Consider them a gift from one friend to another." Goku's brow furrowed slightly. In his experience, nothing from Lex Luthor came without a price. He had learned that lesson the hard way when Lex had used him to gather kryptonite, when Lex had tried to destroy Superman using the very fragments that his own brother had collected. "These are incredible," Goku said slowly. "But is there some sort of condition behind them?" Lex laughed, a genuine sound that seemed almost out of place in a sterile office. "Now, what kind of gift would that be for my friend if it came with conditions?" "No, Goku. These are simply gifts. Take them. Enjoy them. Watch your children reach their new heights. Goku studied Lex's face, searching for any hint of deception. But for the first time in their complicated history, he saw nothing but sincerity. Perhaps people really could change. Thank you, Lex, Goku said, clutching the jetpacks to his chest. I mean it. Go, Lex said, gesturing toward the elevator. I'm sure your children are waiting. As Goku walked through the gleaming corridors of LexCorp Tower, the jetpacks cradled in his arms, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted between them. Not just a transaction, not just politics, but possibly an actual real friendship. But as he made it outside the building, Lex observed through his window his building and said to himself, you just keep being yourself, my friend, and that's all the help my plans will need for the future. Outside LexCorp Tower, the afternoon sun bathed Metropolis in warm golden light. Goku stepped onto the bustling sidewalk, the two child-sized jetpacks tucked under his arms, and immediately he drew a crowd. There he is! It's Goku! Can I get a picture? The questions came from all directions. Excited fans, curious tourists, children with wide eyes, and parents holding smartphones. Goku froze up. His discomfort was written clearly across his face. 4 years had passed since the Trigon invasion, 4 years of being recognized everywhere he went in cities, and he still hadn't grown accustomed to it. Please, he said, trying to be polite. I'm just going to visit my family. But the crowd only grew larger. People pressed forward, reaching out to touch him, to shake his hand, to capture this moment on camera. Goku was the people's hero. Open, accessible, no mask, and no secret identity. And thanks to Lex's propaganda, it became widespread. The man who had saved Earth from Trigon, who had fought alongside the Justice League, who had become the symbol of everything good about actual heroes in their minds. And he hated every moment of it. Can you sign my shirt? A young boy asked, pushing through the crowd. He's my favorite hero, a teenage girl declared. I saw you on the TV during the invasion. Goku simply forced a smile, signed a couple autographs, posed for some pictures, trying to be nice to everyone because it was expected him to be. His parents did tell him to be polite, teach him to be polite, but inside his mind was elsewhere. He had never wanted any of this. He had never wanted to be a hero at all, in fact. Not the way Superman was, not the way Batman was, and not the way the world seemed to define heroism. I'm just someone who likes to fight strong opponents for self-improvement, he thought. I help people because that's what the Kents taught me. I protect the Earth because it's my home. But a hero? No. Heroes were people like Superman who inspired hope. Heroes were people like Batman who fought impossible odds despite being just a man. Heroes were people like Wonder Woman who carried themselves with dignity and grace. Heroes were firefighters who ran into burning buildings to save civilians. Goku was just, Goku. A Saiyan who happened to land on Earth, who happened to make powerful friends that had powerful enemies. Goku, Goku, Goku. The crowd's chant grew louder. Finally, he spotted an opening. With a burst of speed that blurred the edges of human perception, Goku launched himself into the sky, leaving the crowd staring at the empty space where he had stood. He was already hundreds of feet above the city before the first person realized he had vanished. I need to go to the Kent farm, he thought, adjusting his course. Gohan's there with Mom and Dad, and Amara's with Diana in Themyscira. We'll all meet together soon. The wind whipped past his face as he flew, the child-sized jetpack secured under his arms. Below Metropolis shrank to a glittering mosaic of buildings and streets. Above, the sky stretched endlessly into blue. He thought about his children, Gohan's gentle curiosity, Amara's fierce determination. He thought about Diana, the woman he loved, the mother of his children, the warrior who had stood beside him through so much. He thought about Clark, Jonathan, Martha, his family, the people who had given him a home when he had nothing. This is what matters, he realized. Not the fame, not the recognition, not being anyone's favorite hero. Just them. His family. He increased his speed, racing toward the Kansas farmland where his adopted parents waited with their grandson. The jetpacks pressed against his chest, a reminder of Lex's unexpected kindness. Goku then touched down softly on the familiar green grass on the Kent farm. The afternoon sun panting the wheat fields in shades of gold and amber. The old farmhouse stood exactly as he remembered it. Whitewashed wood and a wraparound porch, and the comforting smell of Martha's cooking drifting through the open windows. But it was the scene on the porch that made his heart truly swell. Jonathan Kent sat in his favorite rocking chair with his weathered face creased with smiles as he gestured animatedly. Clark sat beside him, looking more like the farm boy Goku remembered than the world's greatest hero. And there, sitting cross-legged on the porch floor with wide, eager eyes, was Gohan, 4 years old, his father's boyish features with his mother's blue eyes. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to give him black eyes or not. I'll talk about this when this episode's over. Sparkling with curiosity as he wore the red and gold colors of his mother in a gi, not unlike his father's. And then Jonathan was saying, his voice carrying the warmth of 1,000 bedtime stories. Your Uncle Clark here had to stop a runaway tractor from crashing into the county fair. It was just a tractor, Dad, Clark protested, though he was grinning. And the brakes had failed. It wasn't exactly a world-ending threat. But you were only 14, Martha called from inside, her voice carrying through the screen. And you moved it so fast to stop anyone from... You moved it so fast that no one even saw you stop it. That was the same week you saved old man Henderson's barn from that tornado. Goku's heart ached with a familiar warmth. How many nights had he sat on this same porch listening to Jonathan tell stories of Clark's childhood heroics, or him seeing him on the news doing things? How many times had he felt the same spark of inspiration, that same burning desire to become stronger, to prove himself worthy of the family that had kindly taken him in? He stepped onto the porch and Gohan's head whipped around. Daddy! The boy launched himself off the porch and Goku caught him mid-air, spinning him around as laughter filled the farm. Hey, buddy. I missed you too. Grandpa was telling me about Uncle Clark, Gohan exclaimed, his words tumbling out with the excitement only a child could possess. He saved the whole fair, and a barn, and he caught a falling airplane once. Goku laughed, setting Gohan on his hip. Your Uncle Clark has done a lot of amazing things. He's the greatest hero I've ever known. Goku, Clark said, standing and clasping his brother's forearm in greeting. It's good to see you. You look well. Yeah, I guess 4 years of training and peace would do that to a guy, Goku replied, his smile genuine. And speaking of peace, I got something that might shake things up a little. Jonathan raised an eyebrow from his rocking chair. Oh, this ought to be good. But Martha's voice cut through before anyone could respond. Dinner's ready. Everyone inside. The kitchen was exactly as Goku remembered, warm, inviting, and filled with the aroma of Martha's legendary cooking. As the family gathered around the worn wooden table, passing bowls and plates, and conversation naturally drifted back to the topic of Clark's teenage years. You know, Goku said, pausing between bites of mashed potatoes. Growing up here, as a boy, I was so determined to becoming as strong as Clark that I used to follow him around trying to copy everything that he did. Clark chuckled, reaching for a roll. I remember that. You nearly broke the barn trying to lift a tractor like I did. I was just trying to figure out how you did it, Goku protested. But then I saw you on TV, saving people, stopping disasters, being a hero before anyone even knew your name. And I thought to myself, I gotta get as strong as that guy. Martha simply smiled warmly. You were always so determined, Goku. I was inspired, his voice softening. Clark was already out there saving people as a teenager while I was still trying to figure out how to even understand my own powers and what they even were. Without that example, without seeing my brother doing incredible things, I might have never found the courage to follow my own path so early, at least. Gohan was hanging on every word, his fork frozen halfway to his mouth. Uncle Clark was saving people when he was my age? Older than you, Clark said. A little older. But Goku just laughed. Don't worry, little man. You have plenty of time to find your own adventures. Goku set his fork down and reached for the 2 jetpacks he had placed beside his chair. Speaking of adventures, I have something for you, Gohan. The boy's eyes went wide as his father handed him one of the orange and blue devices. Is that what I think it is? I was practically a teenager when I got my first jetpack, Goku said. helping Gohan strap the jetpack onto his small shoulders. This is going to make you a better flyer than me by the time you're that age. Just a little taste of the sky until you're ready to do it without any assistance at all. Just be careful up there, Jonathan said, though his voice carried more pride than concern. And stay away from the power lines. Gohan was already activating the jetpack, his small hands fumbling with the controls. The engines hummed to life. And with a yelp of excitement and surprise, he shot upward. Not too fast and not too high, but high enough to see the farm from above. The adults watched from the porch as Gohan executed his first aerial maneuvers, wobbly at first, and then he was gradually becoming more confident. He decided to circle the barn. He swooped low over the wheat fields and let out a whoop of pure joy that echoed across the Kansas countryside. "He's a natural," Martha observed, her hands folded over her apron. Goku nodded, his eyes never leaving his son. "He's got good control, that's for sure." Clark stood beside his brother, arms crossed, watching the spectacle with a knowing smile. Looking at that smile, "He's a lot like you." "Actually," Goku said, surprising Clark with his seriousness, "he reminds me of you." Clark blinked. "Me?" When I look at Gohan up there, I don't see a fighter, really. I see a protector. He's not trying to push his limits. He's exploring, enjoying the freedom. He's like you were at that age. He wants to help people, to make them smile, to be something they can look up to. Clark was silent for a moment, watching his nephew zip across the sky. I never really thought about it that way. "I'm pretty sure Gohan's going to be a superhero like you when he gets older," Goku said with absolute certainty. "He's going to pick up that legacy, your legacy. He's going to run with it. I can already see it." On the porch, Jonathan and Martha exchanged a look. The kind of look that only parents who had raised two extraordinary children could share. Pride, hope, and just a touch of resignation. Gohan landed on the porch, a little breathless, his cheeks flushed with excitement. "Dad, did you see me? I almost flew all the way to the old windmill." "Yeah, man, I saw," Goku said, kneeling to pull his son into a hug. "And I'm proud of you, little man. You're going to be something special." Martha stepped forward and pulled Gohan into a warm embrace. "You already are, sweetheart." The afternoon sun painted the Kent farm in shades of gold as the family settled back around the porch, Goku and Clark side by side watching the sun set, while Gohan recounted every moment of his first flight in breathless detail. Then we go to a Gotham alleyway. Victor Zsasz sprinted through the rain-slicked alleys of Gotham's industrial district, his prison jumpsuit clinging to his emaciated frame. He had escaped Blackgate during a riot 3 hours ago, and every shadow seemed to breathe with malicious intent. His chest heaved as he rounded another corner, a triumphant smirk spreading across his gaunt face. "Too easy," he muttered, counting the notches on his arms. "The bat's getting slow." 23 more, and a red and black blur descended from above. Zaz barely had time to register the impact before something hard and unyielding slammed into his jaw. His teeth clacked together with bone-rattling force, and the world dissolved into a swirl of pain and confusion. He crashed against a dumpster, crumpling to the wet pavement in a heap of gangly limbs. Jason Todd landed in a crouch, his new Robin uniform glistening with rainwater. Unlike his predecessor's bright colors, Jason's suit was darker and more tactical, reinforced with armored plates beneath the fabric, a black hood that framed his face with an almost predatory edge, a red outfit, a yellow R on his chest, black jeans, red and black boots, black gloves, and a black cape. He rose to his full height, planting one boot firmly on Zaz's back as the villain groaned. "Did you really think you could outrun me?" Jason asked, his voice carrying a sardonic edge that Dick Grayson never really possessed. "I could sense you from 3 blocks away, creep. You should be glad I don't do you like you do your victims." Zaz tried to lift his head, but Jason pressed down harder. The bat doesn't kill." "I'm not the bat." Jason's grin was sharp as glass. "I'm Robin. But you're right." He pulled a pair of metal restraints from his belt, modified binders designed by Batman to even hold enhanced individuals, and secured Zaz's wrists behind his back. The villain groaned something unintelligible, his consciousness already slipping. From the shadows, a familiar silhouette emerged. Batman stepped into the dim glow of a flickering streetlight, his cape pulling around him like a shroud of darkness. His cowl was raised, his expression unreadable, but Jason could feel his mentor's gaze assessing every detail of the takedown. "Good work," Batman said, his voice a low rumble. "Your key sensing is developing faster than I anticipated." Jason straightened, a hint of pride flickering in his eyes. "Yeah, well, Goku's advice on technique really paid off. I can feel the life energy of almost anyone within a few blocks now. It's like having a sixth sense, but for scumbags." "Don't get cocky," Batman warned, though there was no real heat in his tone. "Key sensing is a tool, not a crutch. Over-reliance on any single ability will get you killed." I know, Jason bent to haul his ass to his feet. "It's just, man, tracking these psychos down feels like I'm cheating when I can literally sense them before they even know I'm there." "Then consider it an advantage, not a cheat." Batman produced a grappling gun and fired it into the darkness above. "Now come, we have a prisoner to deliver to the GCPD." As they ascended into the Gotham sky, Zaz's unconscious form dangling between them, Jason couldn't help the small smile that crept across his face. Hours later, Bruce Wayne sat alone in Batcave's medical bay, the gentle hum of the cave's massive computer system providing a quiet backdrop to his own thoughts. Alfred had insisted he rest after patrol, and for once Bruce had relented, though the word rest was relative. The bat-shaped monitors flickered with data streams from across the globe, and his cowl lay beside him on the cot, a symbol of the weight he carried even in moments of stillness. 4 years since Trigon's apocalypse. Bruce closed his eyes, and the memories came unbidden. Crimson skies, demonic hordes, the world teetering on the brink of annihilation while he could do nothing but coordinate a desperate plan, and hope that the pieces he set in motion would hold. He had been powerless in the face of a cosmic evil, a mere mortal playing chess against a deity. But he had progressed. His eyes opened, and he stared at his own reflection in a darkened monitor. The face that looked back was slightly older, but there was something else in his arsenal now, something that hadn't been there before the invasion. Full key awareness. Goku's training gift. Bruce had been skeptical at first. The idea of sensing life energy seemed almost mystical, the kind of thing that belonged in ancient legends rather than modern science. But Goku had been patient, teaching him how to feel the subtle currents that flowed through all living beings. It had taken months of meditation, of practice, of humbling himself to learn from the younger Saiyan who could do things Bruce could only dream of. Now Bruce could sense the presence of every living creature within a mile of the Batcave. He could detect the presence of criminals before they even committed their crimes when he got familiar with their signature. He could feel the ebb and flow of life energy in a city that had once been nothing but data and statistics and camera footage. And with that awareness had come something else, the ability to recognize potential. Jason Todd. Unlike Dick Grayson, who had been trained from an early age to become a prodigy, Jason had been a street rat, brash, angry, and desperate to prove himself. Bruce had seen the same fire in him for self-improvement that he'd seen in a teen Goku all those years ago. The same determination to become stronger, to make a difference. Goku had seen it too. He had been the one to suggest that Jason should learn key sensing and to fully offer his time and patience to a teenager Bruce had nearly written off as too unstable to train. And Bruce had been forced to admit, at least to himself, that he thinks that he has been wrong. Also, the Justice League had expanded massively over the past 4 years. New heroes emerged almost weekly, their powers ranging from mundane to almost cosmic. Batman had always been wary of metahumans, of beings who could topple governments with minimum effort. But after Trigon, after watching people like Black Canary and countless others risk their lives against impossible enemies, he had begun to change how he viewed it. Sure, they were threats to be monitored, but they could also be dependable allies. Bruce rose from the cot, and walked toward the main computer console, where Lucius Fox's latest prototype project sat waiting. A device capable of reading power levels across the globe, of alerting the Batcave to high-threat events before they spiraled out of control. It wasn't omniscience. Nothing ever really was. But it was the closest thing to a warning system that Earth had ever possessed. "Sir," Alfred's voice came through the intercom, "you should be resting." "I'll rest when I know the world is safe for the night, Alfred," Bruce replied, his fingers already dancing across the keyboard. "And that won't be any time soon." Alfred sighed. "Some things never change, I suppose." The sun hung low over the Aegean Sea, casting long golden shadows across the marble training grounds of Themyscira. The island hadn't changed in the 4 years since Trigon's invasion. Its white temple still gleamed against the azure sky, its forests remained lush and untouched, and its Amazon warriors continued their eternal vigil. But something new had been added to the sacred island, the sound of a child's laughter mingling with the clash of wooden staffs. Amara, now 4 years old, moved through her combat forms with a ferocity that belied her age. Long hair, not unlike her mother's. It was pulled back in a practical ponytail that whipped behind her as she spun and struck. Her eyes, those distinctive blue eyes she had gotten from Diana, narrowed with concentration as she faced her opponent. But it was her clothing that truly set her apart from the other Amazon children. She wore an orange gi and a blue belt, and a gold belt, and matching blue accents, a miniature version of the outfit her father had worn since she could remember. The fabric was lighter than traditional Amazon training wear, designed for speed and flexibility rather than protection. With a white star logo on her back, seemingly in reference to Wonder Woman's white stars on her heroic costume. "Faster, Amara," called the voice from the sidelines. Princess Diana of Themyscira, Wonder Woman to the outside world, simply mother to the girl before her, stood at the edge of the training ground with her arms crossed over her chest. She wore her formal Amazon armor, though her expression was anything but formal. Pride radiated from her like sunlight, warming the space that was around her. Amara responded to her mother's command with a burst of speed that would have impressed warriors twice her age. Her staff became a blur of motion as she executed a combination strike, high-low, then a spinning sweep that would have sent most opponents stumbling. Her opponent was the Amazon warrior, Nubia, who was going easy on the child, but because she underestimated Amara's speed, she only barely managed to deflect the last blow. She stumbled back with her eyes wide with surprise and interest. By the divines," Nubia breathed, lowering her own staff. "She's only 4. "She's the daughter of Goku," Diana replied, and her voice carried equal measures of pride and concern. "And she's been fighting since she could walk." Amara lowered her staff, her chest heaving with exertion. A grin spread across her face, that same infectious, joyful grin that her father wore after every battle. "Did you see that, Mother? I almost got her." "I saw, little one." Diana knelt and opened her arms, and Amara rushed into them, her staff clattering to the ground. "You're getting stronger every day." But Amara's brows furrowed with a concern that seemed too mature for someone her age. "Was I good enough? Was I as good as Father?" Diana's heart ached at the question. She had seen this before, the desperate need to prove oneself, the burning desire to measure up to impossible standards. Goku had struggled with the same thing when he was younger, almost always trying to catch up to his older brother Clark, always pushing himself to become stronger, and then it got worse when his friends died. "You are not your father, Amara," Diana said gently, tilting her daughter's chin up so their eyes met, "and that is a wonderful thing. You are yourself. You have your own path, your own strengths, your own destiny." Amara's ocean eyes shimmered. "But I want to be strong like him. I want to fight strong people like he does." "I'm sure you will, little one," Diana promised. "You have the spirit of a warrior, after all." The afternoon sun continued its descent, and mother and daughter sat together on the cool marble, watching the waves crash against the cliffs below. Amara's staff lay beside her, forgotten for the moment. "Mother?" Amara asked quietly. "Yes, little one." Where does my brother get his spirit from? Gohan, I mean. Is it from father or from you? Diana considered the question, her gaze distant. Your father is a warrior with a pure heart, and his heart leads him to battles that end up protecting others. But your brother, Gohan, Gohan has a different kind of heart, a gentle heart. Nubia says he's like me, but in honesty, I believe his heart is similar to your Uncle Clark. Uncle Clark? Amara's eyes widened. He's so big. Diana laughed, the sound echoing across the training grounds. He is, but he is also kind. He motivated your father to want to get stronger when he was your age, you know. Before your father became who he is today, he looked up to Clark and wanted to be strong like him. Amara's expression turned thoughtful. So father is like me, but he wanted to be strong like Uncle Clark, and I want to be strong like him this time. Exactly. Diana pressed a kiss to her daughter's forehead. And you, my precious warrior, might become stronger than all of us someday. The wind carried the scent of salt and flowers across the training ground as Amara hugged her mother tightly. In the distance, an Amazon warrior was sharpening her sword, while another led a horse toward the stables. Life on Themyscira continued as it had for ever, it seems, but something new was blossoming here, a legacy of hope that transcended cultures and worlds. I love you, Mother, Amara whispered. I love you too, little one. More than the stars, more than the sea, more than anything. The sky had begun to shift from gold to rose when Goku descended through the clouds, Gohan's small hand clasped firmly in his. His son's eyes were wide with wonder as they broke through the cloud cover and beheld Themyscira in all of its glory, the white temples, the green hills, the sea stretching endlessly toward the horizon. Whoa, Gohan breathed. It's even more beautiful than you said, Dad. Wait until you see the training grounds, Goku replied, grinning. Your sister's probably been practicing her staff work all day. She's been trying to copy my moves, you know. Do you think she'll want to play with me? Gohan asked, a note of anxiety creeping into his voice. She always wants to fight, and I like looking at stuff and reading, you know? Goku's grin softened into something gentler. Your sister loves you, Gohan. She might be rough sometimes, but that's just how she shows she cares. You two are different. That's okay. She gets her fighting spirit from me, and you, he paused, considering his words carefully, you act more like your Uncle Clark. There's nothing wrong with that. So I can be like Superman? Goku's face brightened. Of course you can, Gohan, Goku confirmed. They landed on a cliff overlooking the sea, and Goku released his son's hand. Gohan immediately spotted the jetpack his father had given him and clutched it excitedly. Dad, can I? Not yet, Goku laughed. First, we have to find your mother and sister. Then we'll do something fun. Gohan's eyes swept across the island, searching. Let's see. Where are they? Goku closed his eyes, reaching out with his key sense. It took only a moment to locate them. Two bright signatures in the distance, one steady and strong, the other small but fierce. This way, he said, scooping Gohan into his arms and launching into the air once more. They descended toward the training grounds where Diana and Amara were just finishing their session. Amara was still holding her staff, her stance wide and determined when she spotted them. Father! She shrieked, dropping the staff again and breaking into a run. Father! Goku landed and opened his arms, just in time to catch his daughter as he launched herself at him. He spun her around, laughing, while Gohan landed beside them with a considerable less enthusiasm. Hey, Amara, Gohan said, his voice bright. We got something for you. He held out the second jetpack, orange and blue, just like his, and Amara's eyes went wide. A jetpack, wow. She took it carefully, running her fingers over its sleek surface. For me? Yeah, Dad got them from Governor Luthor, Gohan explained, his words tumbling out with excitement. He said they're for us to learn to fly before we can do it on our own. Look, watch. He strapped his own jetpack on and it activated, hovering a few feet off the ground. His control was still somewhat wobbly, but his joy was unmistakable. See? It's so easy. Amara didn't need any more encouragement. She strapped the jetpack on him with practiced efficiency and shot into the air, immediately outpacing her brother. Hey! Gohan called, laughing. That's not fair. You have to be faster, brother, she shouted back, already banking into a wide arc above the training grounds. Diana moved to stand beside Goku, her shoulder pressing against his. You got them from Luthor, she asked, her voice carrying a hint of weariness. Yeah, gifts, he said. Goku shrugged. No strings attached. But look at them, Diana. They're happy. That's what matters. They watched as their children zipped through the air, their laughter echoing across the ancient island. Amara was showing off, performing loops and dives with a natural grace that amazed even the Amazon warriors who had gathered to watch. Gohan was more cautious, but his joy was just as pure, if not more. His smile wide as he chased his sister through the clouds. She flies like an eagle in search of prey, Diana observed. And he flies like a bird looking for a nest to protect, Goku replied. Together they're going to do some amazing things. He wrapped an arm around Diana's waist and she leaned into him, her head resting against his shoulder. The kids continued their aerial games above them, painting spirals and loops against the canvas of the sunset sky. The sanctuary was a fortress carved into the heart of an uncharted mountain range, its chambers lit by an eerie glow of bioluminescent crystals that pulsed with an unnatural rhythm at its center. A massive obsidian throne overlooked a circular chamber when 4 figures knelt in perfect unison. Garlic Jr. sat upon the throne, his pale green skin gleaming in the crystal light. 4 years of recovery had restored him to his full power and beyond. The dead zone had been a crucible, and he had emerged stronger, more patient, more dangerous than ever before. His white cape cascaded down the throne steps like a waterfall of bone, and his eyes burned with cold fury as he surveyed his loyal servants. Rise, he commanded, his voice echoing through the chamber. Spice rose first. Vinegar followed, mustard, and salt. Garlic Jr. rose from his throne, descending the steps with measured grace. He stopped before his servants, studying each of them in turn. 4 years I have waited. 4 years I have planned. The Blackwater mist will spread through these cities like a plague. When people breathe in this mist, any evil tendencies that they're resisting take control of their character. They become mad with the desire for wealth and material pleasures, to the point of wanting to even kill each other for it. Their heroes will be forced to fight their own people, to choose between saving innocents and stopping the infection from spreading. He raised his hand, a sphere of dark energy formed over his palm. A concentrated sample of Blackwater mist, its malevolent purple-black corruption swirling within. Once the cities fall, the mist will spread across the entire planet. Let me know what you guys think about this episode. It's probably long, It's always hard for me to do the first episode because I get nervous. I wonder if people are going to like it. But a lot of y'all like the lore. I wanted to check in on everybody, show you guys what was going on, where everyone's been, where the leagues progressed, the children, all that type of stuff. Batman learned key sensing, which I alluded to in the last season. Also, let me know what you guys think about this. I originally was going to have both Amara and Gohan have blue eyes to Wonder Woman, but I think I'm going to have Gohan have black eyes like, Canon Gohan. And the reason is, you see that Amara has on Goku's outfit, but Gohan has on an outfit that's like Wonder Woman. But even though he has Wonder Woman's outfit, even though he has Wonder Woman's outfit, he also has his father's eyes. And even though Amara has Goku's outfit, she has her mother's eyes. I was thinking something like that. Also, let me know what y'all think about this animation for the new members. Shout out to y'all, of course, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.